I just think it's such a beautiful and sort of a restful, peaceful spot. Sometimes I'll just come out here and bring myself a lawn chair and sit down with a drawing pad and just sketch a little bit, and my blood pressure goes to virtually nothing. It's restful and peaceful and a good place to spend eternity, I guess.
Glenwood was established in 1871, and in those days it was on the edge of development of Houston. It was just outside the city limits, so it was really designed to be this place where you could get out of the hustle and bustle of the city and come into this beautiful, peaceful place, and I think that's still true, even though the city's grown up around it. Glenwood is laid out on a series of ravines that lead down to Buffalo Bayou, so you've got these streets and roads that were laid out along these ravines and these hills. It's both professionally landscaped and naturally landscaped, so it's a really beautiful environment, and I think the surprise for people who come into Glenwood is that there is a place in Houston that looks like this. Since it's been here for almost 150 years, you have the full range of cemetery art, from the more elaborate Victorian monuments to the more pared down modern monuments. So coming out here is not only a chance to experience a beautiful piece of Houston, but also a chance to see a lot of really fantastic art and see the way that we have memorialized ourselves over the last century and a half. There is one Victorian monument that people always love to see when they come out here. It's the Hill Monument, and it is a marble angel that is draped over a pedestal. And it was unusual at the time that it was done because angels were not supposed to show grief. Most of the angels that you see at Glenwood are just standing around looking sad or trying to remind you of heaven or pointing or something like that. But this angel is really clearly in distress.
I think of these people, the historic people are here, the great things that they've done for our city, the interesting people that are buried here. There was a man buried here, his name is Wade Hampton Cook, and he was an editor for what became the Houston Post, and he worked downtown, and at that time there was a bar across the street from where his office was. Well, he never stayed in his office, he always went to the bar because he said that every piece of news hits this bar before it hits anywhere else, so I'm gonna get a scoop. And he used to sit at a table back in the back, and he paid the bartender a few bucks, and if anybody came in with a story, the bartender would rap on the bar 3 times, and Hamp would look up and wave and say, "Hey, come over, come over." But when writers used to finish a story, they always put -30-, which meant the end. And on Hamp's tombstone, it gives his name, it gives when he was born, when he died, and it says -30-.
The Howard Hughes Monument is interesting for a lot of reasons. Number one, it's pretty low-key, it's pretty restrained. You don't see the Hughes name, in giant letters carved in marble or anything. So I think a lot of people who come out here miss it for that reason. They're expecting something bigger than it is. Now, when Howard Hughes himself died in 1976, they expanded the plot, added a couple of trumpets, built a wall, and built a fence around the plot. At the time Howard Hughes died, some of the tabloids had offered rewards if anybody could prove that he wasn't really dead, because he was such a recluse that, people thought maybe he was trying to pull something over on everybody. So they thought it was a good idea to build the fence to make sure that somebody didn't sneak in the plot and, somehow try to prove that he was actually dead.
I think the trees, the sounds, the birds, the architecture, just the whole package. Being a historian and a cemetery fanatic, I just really wanted to be buried out here, so Barbara and I came out and bought ourselves a plot here about 5 years ago. I guess I've always wanted to be buried here. I mean, maybe it's in my DNA. I don't know. It's a magic spot.